Okay,
Okay.
hello and
Hello.
welcome.
Welcome. I mean,
Here we
yeah.
here we are again. Yeah, but we need to say welcome to each other, and then we want to
Yeah,
welcome
yeah,
everybody who's listening,
yeah,
who
yeah,
has put this podcast on play. We're very grateful for sharing this with you.
yeah.
And
Thank you.
I just should we do a little short introduction for people joining us for the first time? And if you're not
Yeah.
joining us for the first time, you might need an
You
introduction.
can do the introduction since I'm half asleep.
Oh, you're half asleep. Okay. Yeah, because Pernilla is over in the US. She's in Princeton, New Jersey. I'm based in Denmark, Copenhagen, or a little bit outside. So, of course, there's a time difference.
Yeah, it's
So,
6 a.m. here.
6 a.m. and I am 12 a.m. So, I've been already doing my yoga, my meditation, my swimming. Pernilla just stand up. So, she needs to, we need to gear her a little bit up.
Yeah,
But
yeah,
we're gonna spice her up by the topic of
yeah,
today, which is finding yourself.
yeah.
Very important. But
Oh
before
my
tapping
God.
into the topic, briefly, Awakening 101, a website, a spiritual library that Pernilla has created. And if you haven't visited, please visit it. It's just the most great website with everything in it. Do you want to just
Yeah.
a short?
So Awakening 101 is a website that is intended to be like a library, like an online spiritual resource where you can go and find information about spiritual matters, you anything that sort of will spark your journey in spirituality to go further. That sounds so boring, but basically it's a collection of teachers, sages, a collection of books, everything that sort of have helped me move forward in my own path over the last 20, 30 years. And then it also includes like personal blogs, like my own discoveries through this time in my journey with recovery and meditation and all kinds of things. And it also has something that we created that's called the Awakening Process, which is a collection of tools and elements that also throughout this process were combined in order to give some sort of roadmap. So a tool can be yoga or meditation, and the elements were or are things like love and awareness and forgiveness. So I made this mandala that we have intended for like to bring a little bit of organization to something that definitely has no, it's not linear, right? It's not like, oh, you go to A and then you get B or but anyway, we created that
It's
so that
organic.
it's just so that you could see something like, oh yeah, okay, if I nature, animals, that's a tool. Walking in nature or spending time with animals is also like a tool to like become more present. So go to Awakening 101 and check it out. And this podcast is just so we can bring those concepts and the information on the website into a conversation and bring it home. If you talk about things, it's just a little bit easier to understand, I think, and bring it into a more understandable concepts. So that's what we're doing here, me and Louise. Louise and I have been best friends since we were 4. She lives in Denmark, I live in the US. We're both yogis, we're both in recovery. So here we are.
Here we are. And also, thank you. What I wanted to say, like, if anyone has questions or, want to, open up for dialogue and everything, just send us an email or send a comments in the podcast comments, because, we're open for interaction. And we also know that this is not, as Pernilla said, one linear path to all this. But by sharing our way of being more aware and awake, we hope that we can open up and there is something that can resonate in your life too.
Yeah.
So yes. So
Fabulous.
fabulous. We love it. So today's topic is finding yourself.
What does that mean?
What is that meaning? And that's such a big topic, finding yourself. Let's start by this. No, okay, where do we start? My question to you, Pernilla, do you believe that we find ourselves once and for all, or is this a process that can change over the time?
Yeah, of course it's a process. I mean, you don't just have like one day when you're like, oh, right now I found myself. Oh, right
I like
now I know who I
people
am.
like that.
Yeah, but I mean, it's like in AA, they talk about the peeling of the layer of the onion. So that's why people keep on doing the steps over and over and over again. And that's why people go into meetings over and over again. And you don't just meditate once, you meditate over and over again. You go to yoga over and over again because there's like different layers that have to come off.
Mm,
Um, and the layers come off until you have nothing left, basically. But in each layer that comes off, you still find a piece of you. So it's
mm,
not like you have to get through like years of peeling those layers of the onion in order to find something within you that is yourself. No, it's like you peel off a little piece and you see a glimpse of something that is like, oh yeah, now I get it. And then like you peel a little bit more, then you're like, oh yeah, I get it. So it's a process, of course. But every little bit of self-reflection and self-discovery helps to find that inner center, that connection with your inner, with your true self.
I love it. I love it. I
Yeah.
love it. And I love your visualization like an onion and just peeling it off and knowing that even when you peel a layer off, there is a piece of you. And back to our podcast and to your website, but that's the awakening journey, you know, to becoming more true to yourself and becoming more aware of you know who we are, you know, or
Yeah.
what we want to be, or who we want to be, or you
Yeah,
know.
exactly. Exactly. Yeah. So,
So
I mean, I could give you an example.
yes, please.
So I feel like, something that I notice is that, most of us is like a little bit out of sync with ourselves. So we had a moment, for example, you and I, Louise, this summer when we had like, we were supposed to check into a hotel and in the south of Sweden together, like we do every summer. And we got there and we discovered that our rooms were from the next day. And I had been driving for like 8 hours. And we got there and we didn't have anywhere to sleep. So we had to drive to a different hotel that was like a little farther away. And we're just kind of overwhelmed. And like the next morning, we're like packing up to go to the hotel that we're supposed to be at. And Louise is like moving really fast, like I do too, And I just said, move slowlier. And that's like one of those tools I feel like that is because we all move fast. Like, what are we moving fast for? And if we move slowlier, we can actually be connected to ourselves. If you just have a slower pace, it's not like we're going to be like sitting around on the couch. But so why I bring this up is because the other night, and I haven't told you this yet,
Okay,
me
I
and the
just want to say a big thank you
okay,
for that, because just by Pernilla telling me slow down, and as a yoga teacher, you know, it's so, you know, it's not pathetic, but it's funny because I tell everybody in my classes, slow down, use the breath,
yeah,
you
but
know,
not
and
yourself.
that and when I'm, you know, and when you said you're rushing, you know, you didn't even say rushing, you just said slow down. It's just like, oh my God, this is
Yeah,
so nice. And I'm actually having it as a mantra. I do it, you know, when I go out to the
slow
car,
down.
I
Yeah,
catch myself like running off, or you know, it's like,
yeah.
no, I'm standing there with my dog. It's like, come now, come now. It's like, no, slow down. Pernilla
Yeah,
says
yeah,
slowing down. So
yeah,
yeah.
yeah, yeah.
So thank
So
you for that.
yeah, the other night, so me and my girls had been, my youngest one, she's 13, and she likes to go to this makeup store called Sephora to buy like, drops, the things that they see on TikTok that is supposed to like help their skin, like this is the girls and the teenagers in America, that's what they do. So it's fun to go with her because she's so cute. So we went and we came home kind of late for dinner, and my husband was making dinner and it wasn't really ready, and Alice was a little hungry, so I was like trying scrambling to get her something because I'm like a little codependent. Like God forbid she's hungry for like 20 minutes. She can wait, but I'm making her something and I'm sort of running around the kitchen and I slam my foot against one of the chairs. I mean, and it hurt like crazy, right? And I'm like hobbling around during the evening, and my husband's like, "No, you're fine. It's probably not, you know, it's just bruised, whatever." But then in the morning, I wake up and it's like blue.
You're kidding me.
Yeah. So I go to like you know, they have these like urgent cares, which is like, you know, it's not a hospital, but a place that you can just like get
Yeah.
an X-ray or whatever. And of course, like my toe is broken. I broke my own toe
It's the
cooking.
little toe, the big toe,
No,
which
it's number 4, the one
oh
next to the little toe.
makes a little toe.
So I literally, I was laughing with the people in the doctor's office. 'Cause I'm like, I literally made like, it's like a worker's injury as a mom in a kitchen. I hurt my foot cooking. So of course it's like, then I'm like, oh, okay. Because before in the past, like if this was like 15 years ago or 15 years, you know, I, for example, I had a knee injury years ago
Oh,
and
I
I
didn't
didn't
know you
in,
did.
oh, it was awful. And I, instead of resting my knees, I would just keep going, right? And come home and sit there with big ice packs and like try harder, take more, you know, Tylenol, whatever. And in the end, I actually went on a trip to the Grand Canyon and was going to go hiking with knee injuries. And I was walking down into the Grand Canyon and my knees completely locked up and I couldn't move. I couldn't bend my leg. So I had to go to that extent for me to go, oh, I have to slow down.
Mm, mm,
So of course, yesterday I was like, okay, well, I guess nowadays I go, if something like this happens, it's a sign, of
mm,
course,
mm,
that because for me, I'm like, okay, how can I exercise with a broken foot? That's what I was thinking
mm,
yesterday.
mm.
Oh, I can ride without stirrups. You know,
I feel a little
so
the little addict is coming here, is
yeah,
finding it.
it's
Right. Yeah, yeah, of
so
course.
funny. And
I
so
love it.
last night I was like, okay, because this summer's been crazy. We haven't really gotten into that yet, but um, you know, Sally passed away, and my horse that I had for 17 years passed away. So I've been really, you know, it's been a really hard time, and I've been working really hard. But this was like a moment where I was like, okay, get back to the center.
Mm,
You know, we're talking
mm,
about this finding
mm,
yourself. So
mm, mm,
if I want to listen to myself,
mm,
then I have a broken foot. Like, what do you act? You know,
mm,
what am I going to do now? So
mm.
So last night I picked up Sally's book, the first one she wrote. It's called I can't. Oh, well, it's the blue book.
The
It's
heart of meditation.
the Heart of Meditation. It is.
Oh,
It
wonderful.
is. It's. It was a really important piece of my path because it was the in that book she talks about different meditation instructions, but she also at the end I think I've talked about this before, but she instructs you to do that 21-day program,
Mm.
which is 90 minutes a day of meditation, which I'm going to do starting today, um, because I know that it works.
I might want to join you on that one,
Yeah,
actually. Maybe the people who's listening to this can join us as well.
yeah.
It's doing
It's. I mean,
21.
it's a very tall order, but I've used it before in times of like it's like a reset. But I don't like to say like, okay, from Monday I'm not going to drink coffee
Mm,
anymore, or
mm,
like that's not my thing. But this I know I've done this before. It's like you just in order to find your own center again, the
mm,
only thing you can do is basically stop. You know, you have to
mm, mm,
get back to this moment.
mm. I love it.
And meditation, of course, is the greatest doorway that we have to that.
But is that meditation something that you want to share here, just briefly, like because if you as you have had an experience about it and you know what it works, and today's topic is really finding yourself, and when we're getting out of balance, like you apparently did while running around like a hysterical mother in the kitchen, being codependent.
Yes.
And yeah, but you know, and I think a lot of people can identify with what you're saying,
So
and at
funny.
least I can.
Yeah.
So I mean, I think that this could be a beautiful moment to maybe do something collectively, or tap into to our own space. So don't you want to share a little bit about that experience that you had with the 21 days
Well,
meditation?
I've done it a few times, but I definitely think that I have talked about the first 21 days I did was in 2007, and haven't I told you about this before? You don't
No, you
remember?
haven't told us. No,
Yeah.
no, I remember. You
So
don't remember, but I remember. You haven't told us
yeah, okay, because
about
I have no
this.
memory. So
Uh,
we in 2007 we Sally did a 10-day teacher training meditation retreat in Carmel.
yeah, that one you said that when you discovered love.
No, that this is a different this is not.
Okay,
That's the
okay,
okay.
okay, good. Okay, sorry.
So we meditated, we were there for 10 days and we were learning like basic meditation instructions, and it was really profound. And during that time, I was reading this blue book. And when I came home from that retreat, I did with her this 21-day thing, which is um, at home in LA where I was living. So, but I was so new at meditation that all I really did was like make some espresso and sit down and hope that I wouldn't fall asleep.
And you have to do my, you know, of course, my sick mind is already starting, like you know, trying to find a hole in the cheese. Do we really need to do the 90 minutes, or can we do the 45 minutes?
Well, I mean, for me, it was the thing that showed me the power of what meditation really is. It's almost like you really need to open a door to show you what's on the other side. And then you can, after it, you can go back to 45 or whatever it is that you do. But I'm not saying that this is something that everyone has to do. Like if you can just do 5 minutes a day, that's fabulous, you know. But it's something that worked for me at the time because I was able to see something that I didn't know before
And that's
about
something
what.
she recommended also.
No, she didn't tell me to do it. I just read the book, and in the
No, but
book it
she,
says to do.
but she, in the book, does she recommend to do it 21 days, 90 minutes, or does she recommend
Yeah,
she?
that's the
Yeah, so that's
instruction.
what I mean.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah, so
yeah,
it's also about to have faith and follow the
yeah,
instructions
yeah. The instruction. Yeah, yeah.
by a
And then I
teacher.
did when I was in Sweden. I was thinking about this morning. When I was in Sweden for those 9 months in 2017, we had like it was just one of those like awful, chaotic, crazy years. Like we moved a bunch of times. My dad was sick. I crashed a car the first day we were there. I got like not arrested, but I got like the police thought that I had ran a red light and hit a bunch of cars, which I
This you
hadn't. I
have
had,
talked about, just so you
yeah,
know.
and I got, it was just an awful, like, it just the whole year was so crazy. And in that fall, like right before we came back to America, I started meditating. I didn't have any space to meditate where we were living. Like there was no room, no corner, no nothing. So I just ended up sitting like in the middle of like, the cleaning lady was like vacuuming and I'd be like just sitting there because I just needed to do it. And it works. And it's boring at some point because it's hours, but it resets your whole setup.
What do you feel when you're coming out of you? Because now you're saying it's boring. How do you how do you manage being bored in your meditation and not just stand up and do something else, or start scratching your back,
Well,
or
I mean, I
and
think that it you always have elements of that, and you have to learn how to deal with it.
mm,
Um, but you also have elements of just where you have just nothingness or
mm,
the void, or you're in this space where it's a thought-free space filled
mm,
with love and energy. So it vacillates from one to the other.
mm,
From one moment to another, you can go from like, okay, am I really meditating, to sort of being in this like forget. forget that I'm here in my body state.
Mm, mm.
Um,
I,
so for me, when I come out of something like that, you feel very, very I mean, you feel completely present and grounded and connected to your true self.
Bruce himself.
You understand? So it's like, so
Absolutely.
you
But
have to be willing to just sit with whatever
yeah,
comes.
and that could maybe be hard if you, if you're completely new into recovery, or you're
Yeah.
done it with the
Don't try
stress,
this
or no,
in
no,
early
but if you
sobriety.
have a depression, or you're feeling
No, yeah.
stressed, then 1 minute is okay. But I just wanted to share something also, because I have also meditated for many, many, many years, and in the journey of meditation, I thought it was all about to really empty my mind. And I think that when I started in 2014 to do my mindful basic stress reduction education with John Kabat-Zinn, that was the first time and I wish, that someone said, that he's really indicating to just sit and observe whatever is appearing from moment to moment. I was like, wow, it made me so much easier, because I was not striving for anything. Because for many years of meditation, I was striving for empty my mind, to have this, sensation of being on a pink cloud at least for 2 seconds. But it's and I think that's one of the keys that helped me in my journey, is really not to be striving in my meditation.
Yeah,
That
yeah.
and also one of the key elements in mindful meditation, which also helped me, is that when we are paying attention to our mind, our emotions, or sensations, whatever is falling out, you will see and become aware of how your body is reacting. How easy one thought can just make your whole system become cittering, or
Mhm,
stressed, or
mhm,
whatever. But it's when we know how our body reacts that we can learn to respond to it.
mm, mm,
And that was also a very big change for me, when I could, okay, this is how I react, how can I respond to it. And I think for to finding ourselves, or as you mentioned, the true self. And I still have a hard time when my yoga therapist says, like, oh, that's your full self, Louise. I'm like, what are you talking about? That's not my full self. It's a,
mhm,
but the denial is so big, or the shadow is we completely blind. But I think that getting back to the to the meditation state, and at least for me, when I connect to my heart, that's really when everything's become pure. I don't
mhm,
say when it's pure that it's not good or bad, or you know what I mean, but it's just a pure state to be in, that it's
mhm,
me, whatever it means in that moment.
mhm, mhm. Yeah, I mean, I think everybody has different techniques, and I
Mm,
think, uh, the technique for me was just sit there
mm,
and, yes, watch your thoughts. I mean, that's a basic sort of, like, starting point, and, like, following the breath, but I think it's important to go take whatever you said and, like, go back a few steps, because that's still pretty, like, advanced, feeling your sensations and noting how do you react, and that's for me, like, that's a tall order.
mm,
So, if you take that back a step, I think that just observing is all you need to do,
mm, mm.
um, and then you go to the next thing. But for me, I mean, I still when I meditate, I just follow my breath. I don't really do anything else.
And
Um,
when you lose the focus on your breath, you're becoming aware that you might think of something, or you hear a noise in your room, or
no,
something.
but for me these days, I don't really think about anything. It's been so long that I don't.
Yeah.
But I mean, of course, I you know,
Yeah, but just to
for
mention that that's natural, because it's sitting for 90 minutes and follow your breath. It's full concentration. I don't think a lot of people. I mean, you need to have a solid meditation practice to be able to do that. So, I mean, if
yeah.
you're new to
I mean,
meditation,
or not. I mean, like I
but,
said, like I did it the first time, cold. The first time I literally did it cold. I had no idea. I just sat down, would close my eyes.
And you can concentrate for 90 minutes.
But concentrate, I don't know what I didn't know. I don't concentrate. I just let go of concentration.
Yeah, but but it is it is a concentration to keep your awareness on your breath. I mean,
Yeah, but
it's like,
I let it come and go like
yeah,
away,
but that's what, yeah, okay, so that's what I mean, that you decided to sit down, but you let it come and go, and then, but
Yeah. Because
so yeah.
concentration to me feels very sort of strict.
Mm,
So I just sit there and like, if there's a thought, there's a thought, and then I bring it back. And if I
mm,
notice a
mm,
thought, I just bring it back, like whatever.
mm.
But it's
But
kind of
that's what
like,
I mean. That's what I mean. You kept keeping it back to your breath. So your
yeah.
breath was
But
the
it's like
anchor for
almost
your
like
meditation.
you see a field of like tall grass
Mm,
and it's windy. So it's just swaying.
mm,
Like
mm,
that's the thoughts. They're just swaying and
mm,
you're
mm,
breathing and there's like
mm, mm.
it's fine.
No, but
So
I think that you need to have an anchor, because if not, it can, because when you just said that, I think that as a child, I was very much a daydreamer. I could just sit and watch things. The mind is interesting, how we can be around the world 10 times in 1 second. But of
but the
course,
anchor is the breath
yeah,
always.
yeah. And that's what I wanted to get to. Of course, you're swaying back and forth, but you need to have the anchor. And for you, it was the awareness on the breath.
Mhm.
So, but back to the journey of meditation, the key into finding yourself. Can you, because I'm a little bit interesting about your inner child, like is
Who?
that like, yeah, but the who? No, but now and then standing up for my inner child.
Mhm.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, you mean from the blog?
Yes, exactly. And
Yeah.
we, and we, of course, Pernilla has written a blog, and you can go in and read that. But now I don't want you to refer to the blog. I want us to stay, even if we are
Mhm.
talking about things in the blog, because we're going to deepen the topic maybe further on. But just because finding yourself, your inner child, can you do the alignment to that? Can you
Yeah,
explain?
alignment. Well, I think that what I mean is I mean, you touched on this when you're describing your meditation because it's like how do you react to different sensory I think that growing up you really I mean at least for me I had really no idea what who Pernilla was or what I liked or what I felt. And I also felt like I was too afraid to ever tell anybody. Or I was also pretty convinced that no one really listened. Like you feel invisible.
Mm. Oh, horrible.
Uh, yeah, but I think that a lot of kids feel that, just
Absolutely. I
parents are
mean, I
rushing
think my
around
kid,
and
yeah, my
yeah, yeah.
kids definitely
They're
feel
just like,
invisible.
like, get in the car and they're like, where are we going? I think that it's almost like you don't, and if you don't have access to understanding who that person is, then you don't have any connection to yourself. So,
Can you say that one more time, please?
well, if you're too scared of sharing how you feel and your thoughts about things, and if you think that no one listens, it's probably like you also turn that back onto yourself where you say, I'm not going to care what I
Mm,
think or
mm,
what my inner child thinks.
mm,
And
mm,
then it becomes very convoluted and
mm,
anxious and fearful and depressed in yourself. So
mm,
what I'm trying to get this to sound practical but I think that we deny our own selves because
mm,
we don't like to feel shitty or we think that no one's listening. For me, um, drugs and alcohol became a way to manage the need to feel heard because then I just didn't care anymore
mm.
that anybody cared.
Could it also be
Um,
that you manage the pain by drugs and alcohol?
of course, yeah. I
Yeah.
mean, yeah, of course. But then all of a sudden it didn't matter.
Mm,
So, and it was easier. I had many times when I was upset about something, and the the anxiousness or the pain or the uncertainty and hopelessness was so overwhelming that I was like, if I can just make it to 10 p.m., because I wasn't really a drug user that used drugs in the daytime. I was a person who went to nightclubs and did a bunch of drugs there. Like wasn't drinking at home or something. I usually slept throughout the day, and then I would get up and like watch TV for like 6 hours and then go out again.
I know you watch so much TV.
Yeah, I watched so much TV.
I love that.
So I would just be like, if I can just make it to 10, then I won't feel like this anymore.
Hmm.
Just completely removing any connection to your inner self, your
Yeah.
needs or your wants or your emotions. Like you just completely blow that. And then, I think that in early recovery, I don't think that, I mean, I was unconsciously taking care of my inner child.
And can you just define for people listening and not knowing what the inner child means or is, or
I actually, I think I don't exactly have a perfect way to describe that. All I know is that when I think about the theme, finding yourself,
yeah.
you have to sort of reconnect with whatever it was when you were little
Mm.
that wasn't working or that didn't get heard and didn't get listened to. So we call it the inner child because it's like, okay, you have to dial back a little bit into your emotion to look at what was missing or what
Mm.
could have been, um, just to sort of bring those emotions forth because they're part of your buildup.
Mm.
I talk about the primal wounds a lot. It's like you have to get back to what it really was. So not feeling heard, not feeling like I mattered, feeling invisible, those things are important. And those
Mhm.
were the things that I felt when I was like 7. And I think, again, and it really had nothing to do with anybody around me. It just was how I
It was your
came out
karma.
of the womb.
Yeah.
Yeah,
But I think it's very important what you're saying there because it's. I mean, if it now I know your mother and I love your mother dearly, and also your dad, and I know that if they saw you, they think they heard you, and everything, and I
of
do
course.
think and I do think most of our parents do our best, and if I ask my children, they will probably also say that they feel invisible, and I think they feel so much,
Yeah,
but
yeah,
and I think it's important what you're saying there. It's that, yeah, you came into this world with that karma. That was your wounds that actually brought you here today, and being able to sit and talk about it.
that's good that we sort of underlined that because I don't want to. I hate when people are like, "Oh, it's because my mom or my dad did this and blah blah blah." It's like doesn't really work like that. So the inner child, the inner voice, the finding yourself. I think through slowing down and taking moments to self-reflect, meditate, all these things that we talk about, you have an opportunity to, first of all, sort of debunk what it is that was the issues with you as a child and understand what those issues were and the patterns that sort of have maybe weave themselves through your whole life until now.
Mm.
Because a lot of us have stuff that we're still working out when we're in our, when we're almost middle aged and bringing those forth. And then you can release them and you see,
Mm.
oh, okay, well, I'm okay now.
Mm.
And I have courage to say, speak up. I
Mm.
feel heard. So
Mm.
it's just, it's, it's important to look at is what I'm saying, the inner
Mm.
child. But it takes
It's
work too. Some
it takes
people
works
just,
too.
you don't want to.
But I think you defined it in such a nice way, because I remember the first time I heard about it, and if it's a beautiful book called Homecoming. Um, I can't remember the author right now, but it's Homecoming, and he describes all the different inner childs. But I think and it's so interesting to read. I can really identify with different versions of it. But I think the way you describe it here, because first time I heard the word inner child, I was like, oh, I could, don't,
It's so stupid. Yeah,
so
I could
stupid. I
agree.
could, it was like the first time I heard mindfulness as well. I was like, oh no, get it, it's,
Yeah,
but
mindfulness, the word is.
yeah, but now and I think what you said, we need, like, if we want to heal ourselves here and now, we need to look back at where is the wound coming from, and how,
Yeah.
and how can I work with it? So, and that is finding yourself, which
So
is,
the bringing it to consciousness
yeah.
for me, so bringing into consciousness, like what were those things?
Mhm.
In order to get there,
Mhm.
there's a process of discovery, self-discovery that has to happen, because otherwise it's hard to unravel. So like, what were those things? How do I work on them now? And sometimes I have to consciously work on it. Like the thing that I say, like if I feel like somebody doesn't hear me, I sometimes repeat what I say.
To yourself
No, in a conversation.
in a conversation.
Yeah. So if I'm around somebody and I feel like I want to say something that, and it's getting better, so I don't have to do this as much. But for a while, I was just saying, like, I would say something and then I wouldn't feel heard,
Mhm.
because that person either didn't respond to exactly what I was saying, or I felt like they were just waiting to say whatever they wanted to say, which is
Mhm.
classic conversation these days. Then I would just say it again to make sure.
Mhm.
And that I felt like was a step
Mhm.
to standing up for myself.
Courage to do
Yeah,
it.
like, hey, wait,
Mhm.
I'm going to say this again.
Mhm.
Did you hear me? And then also knowing the fact that I am maybe overly sensitive in some aspect, and like completely shut down. When I don't feel like somebody's listening, I just go into like a cave.
Mhm.
So instead of trying to get out of that sort of habit, like don't go
Mhm.
into your cave.
But you said something that you say, finding yourself in a child, bring it up to awareness and to discover what it is, and there is steps to get to that, because it's a process. No, I wanted to say, because you said that to finding yourself, you need to you need to become aware. It's a process. It's a work to be done. You're bringing the thing up to awareness. You discover the things, and then you start, there is a process to work on it. You said there is certain steps.
Yeah, but
I want
it's not the same steps for everybody. I mean,
no, but I want to hear your steps.
no, well, for me, it was basically 12 steps yoga meditation
Hmm?
and brain entrainment. I mean, holosync was I've talked about that so many times now. I mean,
No, you
holosync
haven't. You
really,
haven't. You know what? We need to have a talk about holosync, and I think before you do, we haven't talked about holosync at all. Maybe once, very shortly.
yeah.
And you introduced me to holosync. And by the way, I need a second one. And just say quickly what holosync is, because
Yeah. Holosync is a brain entrainment tool, which is basically what it is. It's, a CD, you listen to a track. It's basically rain and bells, and you listen to it for about an hour. And the track is a technology that brings your brain waves into the delta and the theta brain waves, which is where you have the parasympathetic nervous system and you are healing. And the whole point is that you resynchronize your brain halves, your left and your right, back together, because through life, you're born, I think, with them in sync. And then through trauma and negative emotion and all these things, they get, and especially drug use, they get misaligned somehow.
mm, mm,
The left brain, negative emotion, it takes over.
mm.
So holosync is designed to bring those brain halves back in sync again. And I've been doing it for almost 14 years. And it has helped with everything. I mean, I don't, it's like I can talk about it for an hour, so it's
Yeah,
very
but we're
hard for
gonna
me
have,
to
yeah,
do
yeah,
this
but
in 5 minutes. But
yeah,
I
but
think it's a tool that you can use, brain entrainment and meditation tracks.
mm.
there's a lot of like brainwave stuff out there on the internet and on Spotify and stuff like that. It's really good stuff to use because it makes your brain meditate for you.
Mm,
You don't actually have to have a concentrated meditation. You don't have to have a technique. You can just put it on and sit down, and it's actually meditating your brain for you because
mm,
of the way that the sound technology works in your brain. Um, so it's a game changer. That's all I
mm,
have to say. Just like meditation, traditional meditation is a game changer. So is brain entrainment. Um, so those were the steps for me. It cleared away so much of my negative emotion that I was able to actually see, okay,
mm,
what are the things that I felt sad about, or
mm,
I have wounds from
mm,
from a child.
mm,
Otherwise, it was too cluttered. There was too many things going on for me to actually see what it was.
mm.
And you have to sort of do an inventory on your brain to see what's behind it all. And often nowadays, I think about that when people are upset around me. I go usually think immediately to their childhood.
Mm,
I mean, with my husband, I do that all the time because I know all the trauma that he suffered as a child, and I immediately go, oh, and it's not an
mm.
excuse or like a simplified version of your pain, or like a shortcut in any way to jump into, oh, well, this is why, and blah blah blah. It's not that simple, but it's important part of understanding that who you are
Mm,
and who other people that you love are,
mm,
and having empathy for that. Like, how can I have compassion in this matter, knowing what I know about this person's
mm.
history?
And bringing that back to finding yourself, also bringing that self-compassion to really understand ourselves and not being
Yeah,
judging and
exactly.
critical all the time.
Yeah.
Um, yes.
So I have these moments when something bad happens, and I have a meltdown, and it's because of not having that set up when I was little.
Mm,
Like, why am I freaking out? Like, in a completely irrational way. Like, because I when I felt like that as a child,
mm.
and then it sort of brings it back a little bit, to find my center again.
I think this is very. I think this is a huge topic, and I loved our discussion today. I hope everybody who's been listening also
I
got
can keep
something.
going if you want to keep
You
going.
know,
I can sit here for like another 2 hours.
but you're gonna, or you're still on vacation. You're gonna take your kids up, right?
I'm
It's
not on vacation. I'm never on vacation. I hate when
not
people
you,
say that.
but the kids
When
are on
you're
vacation.
a mom, you're like, it's just
No, but now
endless.
I'm not talking about you. I'm talking about your kids. Your kids on
Oh,
vacation.
yeah.
Yeah, and
Yeah,
you're
we're
gonna
going
do
to the beach today.
exactly. So that's why, so you can't sit here for another 2 hours and just be selfish talking about things that are interesting
Oh,
for us.
so selfish. We're so selfish. Oh,
Listen,
it's
I think
raining,
this
so
was.
beach trip doesn't go. Oh God. Okay. It's raining.
Why
No
are you
beach.
looking on the iPhone to see if it's raining? Why don't you look outside?
Because you never know if it's gonna rain all day when you look outside here, because it
No,
changes
okay.
so drastically. Yeah.
It's actually the same here.
All
But
right.
listen,
Recap, please. Come on.
yeah,
I don't know what
no.
we talked about.
Pernilla has no memory. I love this topic of this podcast today, finding yourself. I think that we touched through some beautiful things. How meditation can help you to get center and renew and almost a sensation of be reborn in the present moment. We talked about the inner child. I think Pernilla had a very nice definition of the inner child, which is I know a lot of people have resistance when they hear that word. I did as well, but
I do
that
too.
yeah,
Yeah.
and Pernilla
Yeah.
is
Yeah.
so wonderful. But if we want to heal and understand ourselves, finding ourselves, we need to go back and see where is this wound coming from, and in that sense understand ourselves better. And when we can fully accept that and be loving and caring, that layer that you talked about in the beginning is one piece being healed and also discovered. You also mentioned a little about holosync. We're not going to touch more about that because we're going to do that in another podcast. Pernilla has also written a blog about it on her website. So yeah, you can surf around there. I think Pernilla shared that she's going to do the 21-day meditation by Sally Campton, the good friend of Pernilla who passed away this summer. And I think I would join into that. I don't have the book. I haven't read the book, but I will. I can be lucky enough to just call Pernilla afterwards and get guided. And you guys at home, if you want to join, I mean, either look up the book, see if you can get it, or and please share with us whatever your experience is.
Yeah, the book is called The Heart of Meditation, but and the author's name is Swami Durgananda, because Sally was a Swami when she wrote this. Swami
really?
Durgananda. Mm-hmm.
Wonderful.
Yeah.
I only have her other book, the red one.
Yeah.
Okay.
This one is actually pretty hard to find too, so you have to get on it. Yeah.
Maybe you can put it
Okay,
up
dear.
in the
Yeah.
so people wants to have it.
Yeah.
Okay. Thank you so much. Love you the most. Say hello to my kiddos.
Okay. Love you. Bye.
Bye bye. Bye.
Bye bye.